What's up, guys? Right on Sports News. Today we're going to be talking about the big Sunday night game coming up, Green Bay Packers versus the Detroit Lions. The winner of this game, whether it's the Green Bay Packers at 8-8, if they win, they end up going to the playoffs. If the Lions win, they have to wait on the Seahawks game. Well, actually, the Seahawks game is going to play at 4 o'clock, so they'll know if anything happens. But the Seahawks would have to lose, and the Lions would have to win and able for the Lions to get to the playoffs. But if the Seahawks win and the Lions win, the Seahawks get in, but the Packers will trump all with their own victory. Now, this is going to be a dogfight of a game, and when you think about it, you really haven't seen Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers be fighting to the last week to get the final wild card spot. But that's just a situation they're in this year. I mean, they're without Davante Adams for the first time since 2014, really. You know, they've been trying to figure out, like, who's going to step up at wide receiver? Who's going to be that option for Aaron Rodgers? And it's been so long in the season till finally we had some emergence, and Christian Watson has been a huge, huge addition to that team and has really come on as a touchdown machine, a speed threat, and a guy that Aaron Rodgers is really starting to trust out there at the wide receiver spot. You got Romeo Doubs, just came back from injury 2 weeks ago, and he's been solid. I honestly think Doubs can be really good, but I think he's still just a little bit tweaked up with that injury, so he's not 100%. You got Randall Cobb, you got Allen Lazard, and Allen Lazard has been coming on as of late. You got Big Bob Tonyan at tight end. I mean, they got some pieces. Do I think they're going to do anything if they do make the playoffs? Not really. But, you know what? With Aaron Rodgers, can you really count him out? And then you go ahead and you look at the Detroit Lions. They started off 1-6. They're like, Jesus, this team is god-awful. They're done. And then they just find ways to win. The offense is really good. Now, the defense is absolutely horrible. Even though they do have some good pieces with the rookies, Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston coming on as of late, and Jeff Okudah in the backfield at corner. They got some good pieces, and I hope that in the draft and free agency they can continue adding, because honestly, this offense is not the problem, and I hope the Lions don't draft a quarterback, because Jared Goff has not been the problem. And they're finally starting to use DeAndre Swift. He finally got 11 carries last week, 4 catches. He looked really good. He had 2 touchdowns when in previous weeks, I mean, it seems like for the whole season, he's barely had 5 rushes every single game. You got Jamal Williams, who's been in it. He's been very good. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got DJ Chark. You got good pieces on the offense. The line's not that bad. Jared Goff hasn't thrown a pick in 8 games. I mean, the Lions' offense is looking really, really dominant. So let's get into the game. What do I think? And I think it all boils down to, can you really say Aaron Rodgers is going to lose to Jared Goff? Now, I love Jared Goff, but wow, it's hard to say Aaron Rodgers is going to lose to the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff and not make the playoffs. It's very hard for me to say that. But you know, if the Lions can go ahead, they continue using Swift against a pretty bad Green Bay run defense. It's been terrible. You got Jamal Williams, who had a good game against them in the first game of the season, even though both teams played pretty terrible. You got Goff, you know, and I don't think I don't think Goff is going to be the reason why, or if the Lions win this game. I don't think he's going to be the key contributor. I think if you're going to win this game, it's got to be one running the ball. And with DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, you can get that done. And Jared Goff still making a couple throws when you need it. It's a doable game for the Lions. But my whole problem is that, I mean, the Lions have given up the league worst 8 yards per pass this year. They've given up the most touchdowns to tight ends. They just can't cover tight ends this year. So you know what? I think my player of the game is going to be Big Bob Tonyan, Robert Tonyan, that's right, the tight end for the Green Bay Packers. I think he's going to be the guy you have to watch. I think he's going to have multiple touchdowns. And I know the argument that, well, the Lions' rush defense has been absolutely terrible. I understand that, and the Packers have two really good running backs in Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and the Packers have been running a lot more this season and have been running and winning down this last couple stretches here, but we all know Aaron Rodgers, when he needs to win the game, when there's a big game, he wants the ball in his hands. We've all seen it, and he gets very angry when the ball is not in his hands. So you got to think, all right, who's going to get the ball? And they passed the ball to tight ends a lot in the last game. And Allen Lazard had a big game too, big-bodied wide receiver. But I honestly think Big Bob Tonyan is going to be the player of the game. Now, Josiah DeGuara also is going to be questionable for the game. Might not play. He's been sitting out of practice. So, really only leaves Tonyan. Watson might be good. Lazard might be good. But I'm sticking with my tight end. And you know what? My score prediction, I cannot say Rodgers is going to lose to the Lions to knock him out of the playoffs. I mean, that sentence would be unheard of the past couple of years, but hey, it could happen. But I'm going to stay my prediction at Green Bay 24, Detroit 20. It's going to be a very close game. It's going to come down to the wire. It's Sunday Night Football. It's not going to be a blowout like the Packers had last week, but I mean, it's going to be a hell of a game, and I can't wait to watch it. You let me know what you guys think the prediction's going to be, what your score predictions, what your player predictions are. Let me know down in the comments. Put them down there, and I'll be sure to read them. And I'd love to see what everybody else thinks about it. If there's any video upcoming that you want me to make, leave it down in the comments as well. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back with another video soon.